Don't settle for bad socks. Get comfort and grip at an affordable price with PureGrip Socks Pro. Choose from 18 different colors at puregripsocks.com.
Since launching roughly 7 months ago, there's been tons of hype and interest around the Adidas Predator series, not just because the current model happens to be an excellent pair of football boots, but because of the unique, classic, old-school Predator aesthetic that comes along specifically with the Elite FT model, giving you that fold-over tongue held down by the elastic strap. And of course Adidas knows that, which is why, unfortunately for consumers, this also happens to be the most expensive variant of the current Predator, bearing a retail price of $280. Not exactly in everyone's price range. That is until now. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the brand new Adidas Predator 24 League FT, a new takedown model added to the Predator lineup, bearing a retail price of $100, and of course including that signature fold-over flap tongue held down by an elastic strap, allowing you to now get that classic Predator look for nearly a third of the price. But just because they're cheap doesn't mean they're worth the price or even good at all, especially when you consider that the other laced variants of the Predator 24 League retail at $85 and $90 respectively, making this the most expensive variant of the League tier Predator. Not counting the laceless version, which also retails for $100, but if you're interested in these, you're probably not interested in those. With these boots really being a direct answer to consumer demand from Adidas, which is awesome. It's cool to see that they have recognized that there's a huge demand for boots with this fold-over tongue, specifically Adidas Predators, and they wanted to offer it at a lower price point. Unfortunately, the quality of the Predator League maybe isn't up to the standard of what you can get from other football boots at the $100 price point, which is exactly what we're going to go over in today's video. We'll talk tech specs on the new Predator League FT, take a look at how they fit and feel on feet, and ultimately conclude whether or not these truly are the best boots you can get for around $100, or if you're just paying for a certain look. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire review. And if you're interested in a pair for yourself, you can pick them up below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. And as always, if you enjoy the unsugar-coated, brutally honest content on the channel, don't forget to drop a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2024. So first things first, let's focus in on effectively what you're paying a $15 premium for over a regular Predator League low, and that of course is the fold-over flap tongue, which effectively has been taken directly off of the $280 version and slapped onto what otherwise would be an $85 football boot. And basically it's a synthetic material that's super soft. Unlike the Elite model, you're not going to find that extra rubber element on the side. You can see they've embossed the same pattern, but there is no extra grip on offer. The elastic strap itself seems to be pretty well the same. It feels the same to me. The width is the same, so no major changes there. And then pull the tongue up and you can see it has this really soft lining material on the underside, with the tongue itself still being kind of a U-throat standalone tongue design, just like you'd find on the standard low-cut model. This material arguably being a little bit softer than those, but when on feet, there really isn't much of a difference in terms of the way that they feel, which is a bit of a shame because one of my main complaints with the low-cut Predator 24 League was the shallower fit through the heel. They've changed nothing in the rear of the boot, and it's not to say that they're uncomfortable or that they don't fit well, but when you compare the fit of the low-cut Predator League to the mid-cut sock variation, that mid-cut model fits significantly deeper through the heel and in general just feels way better on feet. But realistically, I don't think the Predator League should be near the top of your list if you're on the market for a new pair of football boots on a budget, unless you just absolutely must have something that looks like an Adidas Predator, because when you compare this to the higher end models, it almost shares nothing in common. And when you compare these to other football boots you can get for the same amount of money or less, I just don't think they live up to the same performance standard as what else is out there. For starters, instead of Hybrid Touch 2.0, the upper is made from a material that they're calling Hybrid Feel, which is realistically just kind of a plasticky, more rigid feeling synthetic. Not to say that it feels bad on feet, but from a touch perspective, it is nothing like the more leather-like quality that you get from that higher end Hybrid Touch that particularly feels so awesome on that top end $260 to $280 variant. Then of course, there's the question of the Predator striking elements where you don't get it on the fold over tongue like the Elite model. And you can see in white highlighted on this particular colorway, there's some texture for what would normally be rubber elements, but instead, all you're going to get here is basically just some texture on the surface in the form of these little lines that is so minor that it really doesn't provide any extra grip on the ball whatsoever. They've gone as far as to call the elements strike scales, but when compared to the strike skin, actual rubber elements found on the higher end variations, these pretty much do nothing. If we put aside what is admittedly a very cool classic Predator aesthetic that this football boot has, what it really boils down to is a cheaper synthetic material that feels on the plasticky side with Predator elements that are pretty much just for show and serve no real purpose or impact the experience of playing in the boots in any way whatsoever. In other words, all show, no go. As a base, you'll find a sole plate and stud pattern that does come across as looking very similar to what you'll find on the Elite model. Obviously, one of the noticeable differences is lack of external heel counter, but the plastic itself is an entirely different material. The construction is totally different. It's a little bit more stiff, I would say, particularly through the forefoot, and has a little bit more of that kind of cheaper Adidas takedown model feel that they have been getting away from with their more recent releases. I really think the new F50 takedown models, whether it's the Pro or the League variant, are excellent in terms of what they offer and do a really good job of actually feeling quite similar to the top end Elite models. This doesn't do quite as good a job, although it feels fine underfoot. And then the stud pattern, pretty much the same across the board for the entire line. That classic Adidas layout with your 3 studs on either side of the forefoot, 4 in the middle, 1 support stud smack dab in the middle with kind of this triangular shape. It provides a decent amount of bite, but still allows that freedom to twist and pivot. Very well-rounded traction overall, but realistically not something that I think is a major selling feature for this particular football boot. And then there's the weight, where I don't want to rip on these boots, but $100, while a lot less expensive than $280, still isn't cheap, and I think the standard is much higher than it used to be for boots at this price point. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that the Predator League FT weighs in at 9.85 ounces, the equivalent of 279 grams, which is by no means unwearably heavy. I don't think most people interested in this boot at all are too concerned about how much they weigh, but if we are comparing this to the top end model, these are 65 grams more in the same size, which is substantial. And again, compared to almost anything at this price point, or even a little bit lower, it's one of the heaviest boots you can buy. On feet, there's no doubt that the boots look incredible. For $100, while if you know up close, from a distance, you would be hard pressed to be able to tell a difference between these and the $280 version. So if you're really after that Predator aesthetic on a budget, nothing's gonna get you that quite like these. As far as the fit and feel is concerned though, they're definitely as questionable as the standard low-cut Predator Leagues that I tested out 7 months ago. They're just shallow, not just through the heel, but pretty much all the way through. So for somebody with really wide feet or even high arches, these simply are not going to work for you. And that shallow heel is something that has plagued Adidas takedown models for quite some time. Luckily, they have fixed that completely with the new F50 lineup, which is why those takedown models are so good. This unfortunately just feels like your heel is going to pop out. It's not necessarily a security issue. I definitely think it feels more secure when you wear them with grip socks like I have right now. But overall, it's just one of those things where it doesn't need to fit that way, but for whatever reason, Adidas just doesn't seem to get it right. And with a lot of their takedown models, even with the Predator Pro, it's super shallow all the way through, where generally the boots just fit a lot tighter than they need to in a way that isn't necessarily bad, but they don't necessarily feel good either. Compared to the Elites, it is a night and day difference in terms of feel. The synthetic material itself is definitely more on the plasticky side, although not overly stiff by any means at all. They just feel like a pair of cheaper takedown models. There's really nothing about them that I would say stands out as coming across as very premium. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are looking to get a pair for yourself, across the board, the Adidas Predator 24 lineup does run true to size. So in conclusion, while I love the fact that Adidas have effectively responded to consumers in giving them the Predator tongue at a lower price point, the final product, especially for the $100 price tag, you're really just paying for the look and nothing else. With the quality of materials and overall fit being mediocre at best, and if your budget is around $100, if you want something really premium feeling, I think Adidas's own Copa Gloro 2 at $100 would be a significantly better product. If you're after something with a thinner synthetic material, which is effectively what this boot has, that fits better and weighs significantly less, again, Adidas's own F50 League at $90 would also be a much better option, and even less expensive once more if you want something that maybe relates a little bit more closely to the Hybrid Touch 2.0 found on the much more expensive Predator models at $85. The Nike Tiempo Legend 10 Academy would also be a great pick.